that inflection point, just tripped me and said, hey, okay, what do I really want to do with my life? And that was the critical decision point. And I said, I'm walking away from Intel. I'm going to do this, full time. And now you have two full-time guys going at this. And I took over all of the sales, business development, marketing, blah, blah, blah. He could focus on operations, product. And we just took off.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Whole Story Podcast. Jonathan, nice dormy hat, man.
Thanks. Behind the scenes, just found out again, I'm still colorblind because I'm wearing this Beach Rowdy shirt that's got dots and it's a bluish color to me, and Robbie's shirt looks almost exactly the same. But I've found out that they're different colors
similar.
and different styles.
They're similar, but different shades of blue. And yes, mine's got the pocket. You have the cool, whatever it is from Beach Rowdy, which is great for this time of year because it's getting hot.
The fabric feels so good on your skin. Like these little dots thing, like if you just like to oddly rub your arm and stuff like that, it feels really nice. I like the dots.
Yes, if you want to get some of those dots yourself. I'm sure that's exactly how they describe it on their website.
I don't know if that's what it is.
Our friends at Beach Rowdy appreciate you describing the massaging dots or whatever they are.
There we go. It's massaging dots.
Massaging dots. It's designed to keep you cool out on the course as we start to heat up. But yeah, thanks to our friends at Beach Rowdy and the entire Summit family of Zero Restriction, Fairway, and Green. You can check them out and use BestBall20, and you can get a massaging dot shirt for 20% off what they would be. Oh, yeah. Very nice. Speaking of BestBall20, our guest that we just chatted with, Scott with Desert Fox Golf, they do some incredible things, and he was kind enough. He said, hey, your listeners, should we give them a discount? And sure enough, so if you go to desertfoxgolf.com and use BestBall20, you'll get 20% off there. But yeah, we got to chat with Scott of Desert Fox Golf. Jonathan, what did you think of this one?
Well, first of all, if it comes to business, I'm always intrigued to hear how their stories go, the decisions they make. And so at some point, I think I nerded out at least a little bit with some of the stuff, but they have not just like a solid core product in terms of how they were trying to solve a problem that they were having themselves, right? Which is usually the best way to get a business going. But then if you go to their website, they just have some fun stuff on there. They got some unique things. The customization side of it, you'll hear this in the interview, the idea that member guest, if you're looking for an event of some kind, now I don't have an alma mater really when it comes to colleges stuff, but if you're a fan of sports and sporting people, then you can find your particular brand of college more than likely on their thing, on their products as well. And so just another way to make life easier on the course, right? With a company that seems to be doing it the right way, right? Trying to built in America, put together, and then also just trying to help out people while we're out there losing our phones, losing our mind, all the different stuff. I don't know if they can fix that last part, but they're trying.
Well, you could get one of their speakers and have some nice meditation music while you carefully rub your arm to massage
with the dots.
So wait, you're saying Lincoln Christian probably not in their database for custom stuff?
Since it no longer exists, the LCU Lions, we were the preachers whenever I was in school. The Lincoln, it was Lincoln Bible Institute, then Lincoln Christian College, and then at some point we grew up and became a university with Lions. And now it doesn't exist. Like a church owns the buildings, and
it's a throwback. Yeah,
it would be a throwback.
They'll have to go retro for that one.
Preachers. I don't even know. We didn't have like somebody slamming on a pulpit or anything. I don't know what our logo was, to be honest, but that's all right.
Who knows? Well, I'm sure if it was there, Scott and the team at Desert Fox could do it. But yeah, no, I agree, man. Just a cool thing. Another cool thing that somebody is doing in the game of golf. And I loved our conversation and kind of the, hey, what would you suggest golfers do? Like his answer for that was just spot on. Like I loved it. So it's a great chat. Another great new friend in the game. He's out in Arizona, so when you go see family, you guys are going to tee it up together, I'm sure, at some point.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll be a couple blocks away from each other.
Yeah, so a lot of fun. But this one, y'all enjoy Scott with Desert Fox. All right. Well, Scott, Mr. Desert Fox himself, welcome to the Whole Story Podcast. Thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. Nice to be here. Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, so with all our guests, before we get into kind of the cool things you're doing in the game with Desert Fox, like we want to know where and how your love for the game of golf came about. Like when did you start playing this game?
Yeah, from a very, very young age as a kid, I grew up back in Western Pennsylvania and lived very close to a golf course. So some of my first jobs were working at the driving range, just starting to see people hit balls and stuff like that. When I was like a real young kid, we just scour the woods, right? Find lost golf balls, sit out on the fairway, sell them for, I don't know, probably 5 cents back then. I don't even remember. And, that kind of got me interested. And then by the time I was I think I was 12 or 13, a buddy of mine was a caddy over at Youghiogheny Country Club, which is our local course. And he said, why don't you come over and caddy? And once I caddied, met the guys, saw the lifestyle, the environment, and really started to understand and learn the game, I was pretty hooked. So I decided to start playing the game. Ended up joining the high school golf team, and by the time I graduated, I was, I don't know, probably number 3, number 4 player on the team. Made it to states a couple of times, and I was just completely enthralled, by the game. So at that point, it becomes a lifelong thing. At that age, I mean, I grew up in the '80s, so we didn't have the type of golfers that we have out there now. The competition was different, but then you still feel like you have a dream. You're going to go pro. I went to college. I ended up going to Penn State, and talked to the golf coach up there. He's like, "What's the best finish you ever had?" And I don't know, I probably shot an 80 or something, at one of the states. He's like, "Yeah, you're not good enough." In the nicest way possible. in the nicest way possible. And so, went on, became an engineer, and it was just a wild, path forward. But I've always had golf in my blood. And, when I moved out to Arizona, I started playing competitive golf again for, the local Arizona Golf Association. Then really truly got to see some real good golfers and realized, yeah, you're not good enough to be anything other than an avid weekend golfer. And so that's what I've done the rest of my life, and just always had hoped that somehow, some way I'd be able to get involved in the golf business. And, fast forward X number of years, back in 2018, my business partner, Eric Fox, that's where the real Fox comes from. He's the true Desert Fox. He and I started a company and saw a niche for phone holders for golf, and it all kind of blew up from there.
What's your home course out there? I'm assuming you say Arizona, it's Phoenix area, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're not in Sholo or anything like that. So,
No, we're down in Chandler. Yeah, we're down in
Okay.
Chandler, Arizona. So I'm actually a member of Bear Creek Men's Golf Association down here. Also
Yep.
a member of Aspen Country Club, which is up in Flagstaff. So
Yep.
we do have, 2 locations that we kind of go back and forth when it gets too hot down here. That's kind of new for me. But yeah, I play in a bunch of different leagues down here, a lot of travel leagues where you get to rotate and play different courses. But I'm down in that Chandler area near Ocotillo Golf Course in Bear Creek, if you're familiar with it.
We've played Ocotillo. My dad lives in Gilbert. My sister lives in Chandler.
Wow.
In one of the county islands, I believe it is. So
Okay.
yeah, but
It's a small world.
it is an absolute small world. I lived in Gilbert for about a year and a half back during the COVID, actually. During COVID.
That COVID.
Yeah, which I didn't get to play a lot of golf then, but yeah. So you're not the Desert Fox, which is a whole separate story, like the most interesting man in the world, the Desert
That's right.
Fox.
That is not me. That is my business partner.
So what was it that, I mean, you're engineers, you're probably tinkering with stuff, always trying to figure out how to fix things and do that kind of stuff. What is it that the two of you look at each other and say, you know what we should do? We should come up with the golf cart and golf accessories in order for people to enjoy. Like, were you just dropping your phone every time, or did someone lose a phone for the 5th time on the 4th hole and you go, there's
Yeah.
got to be a better option?
100%. You nailed it. So, probably if you remember back, the 2010 through 18 type of era, the little golf GPS devices started to pop
Right.
up, right? And, you look now, Sky Golf is probably the one that has continued, that path forward. But there was also this move to, smartphones, right? And the ability to download an app. And so I came across an app called The Grint, started using it. My buddy Eric, and business partner started using it as well. He's the true engineer behind this thing. You know what I mean? And he lost his phone, had it sitting on the seat 3 or 4 times. That's all it took.
Yep.
And he's like, all right, screw this. We need something different. And at the same time, he was trying to build a better phone holder for his car. And so the wheels just kind of started turning. We were getting involved with 3D printing and all that stuff. And so we went out and he bought a little, Zortrax 3D printer that we sat on his office desk. And next thing you know, we start printing prototypes. He's like, hey, check this out, and sends me a picture. And it's just this plastic, phone holder that's magnetized. We started with magnets, on the golf cart post. And I'm like, holy crap, what is that? I want one. He says, send me your specs for your phone, right? So then he builds one and prints it exactly for my phone, and I used it and I'm like, dude, this is awesome. I was just gonna go buy one. And sure enough, there were not a lot of options in the market. They were large metal,
Mm.
Cumbersome pieces. I'm not gonna put this thing in my golf bag. It weighs whatever, 5 pounds.
Yeah.
And and I'm like, man, this might be something we can go build. And that's what kicked it all off, right? And there's about a 15-hour podcast that we can go into after that.
I love it. So, you find this problem, and it's funny. Jonathan and I were playing yesterday, and the guys in front of us wheeled back and said, "Hey, you guys seen my phone?" Like, so
Yep.
it is a problem
Yeah.
out there for those that are riding in carts. And it's funny that you were a caddy at one point, and now you're helping carry something else for the golfers out there. But uh, what took you from 3D printing first prototype, second one that fits your phone, to
Yeah.
saying again, hey, let's start mass producing these things? Because I'm guessing it's not still being done on your 3D printer in the garage.
No, it's plastic injection molded. We have multiple factories that we work with, and it was a learning exercise, right? You're right. We're both engineers by heart. My business partner taught himself design, capabilities and skill sets. We reached out to manufacturers, learned the injection molding process, all of the things that are necessary for design for manufacturing, all the stuff that's super hard that you don't appreciate as a consumer. I look at something now and I think about it completely differently than I did before I started this company. Both he and I come from the semiconductor space, right? Intel, AMD, that type of space, microchip, where they're just two very, very different worlds, but a lot of similarity in terms of production and operations and those types of things. So, we didn't know what we didn't know. And that's the beauty of entrepreneurship, right? You just start doing, you iterate, you move quickly. I think we counted it up. I think we were easily 280 or 300 prototypes, right? He would over design it. At one time you would turn one button and it would automatically move in 13 different directions and size for your phone. And, and you start different stuff. It's like, well, I'm just going to build these inserts and you just snap them onto your phone until it fits. And all right, well, we hate that solution, right? And so again, you just try different things. Of probably the most fun story and maybe the most dangerous story was the strap that we use for the phone caddy. It's currently a hook and loop strap that just wraps around the post. Super simple, right? And we started out by making a rubber strap, and he decided to build his own vacuum chamber to make our own straps in his house. And so, it's pressurized, vacuum
Right.
chamber in our garage that we're like building rubber straps. He comes over, hey, I made a strap. I'm like, you did what? You know what I mean? It just blows your mind. It's like, I don't believe you didn't blow up your house trying to make a strap for the phone caddy, but that's how it all starts, right? And then, as you start to reach out, you find suppliers, you find contacts, you take big risks. I remember, using PayPal to send $1,500 to our rep in China, to say, hey, go try to find me some factories over there. And I'm like, well, she's either going to go buy a bunch of shoes or we're going to get some factory reps, right? And sure enough, it starts coming in, and you take that next big plunge and you wire a bunch of money to get your first molds created and things like that. Complete transparency, Eric and I, we always wanted to be a made in USA company. When you look at the startup expense of creating a mold set here versus, doing it in China, it's astonishing, right? And at the time, I had no idea if anybody would even give me $1 for one of these things, right? So, since then, fast forward, we've actually repatriated some of our molds. We actually have a facility here in the US that does plastic injection molding. It's an amazing story, that, you start one place, you do what you can afford, and then you keep moving forward from there. And, that's kind of how you get it done. A lot of trial and error, a lot of just, I'm going to make this thing happen. And you just keep pounding and just moving forward and again, just keep moving forward, until you get it done.
Are you using the plastic mold guy there in Arizona, in Phoenix?
Yeah,
Are you?
there's a bunch. Yeah, there's a bunch of them out here, but we do have
Yeah.
one right up the street from us. We use them. We do offer, custom Pantone colors, but it's
Yeah.
a, 2,500 unit order, 5,000 units, right? So there's not a lot
Right.
of people that are willing to plunk down that cash. So we still have our overseas production facilities, but we only buy parts. Everything else is shipped here. It's customized here. We do all of the printing here in the United States. It's assembled in the United States, packaged, boxed, all that kind of stuff. But just operationally, it's still a product of ours that, we have to, produce, overseas and bring pieces
Yeah.
of it back here. Since then we've added, speakers and towels and can coolers. We're in the process of launching 2 new products. One of them is a magnetic phone holder, right? So it's the magnetic phone caddy. It's just crazy. It just kind of keeps going, but we've been in business now for almost 8 years. So
Yeah, and it's funny you talk about whenever you start looking at things, right, in a store, in a place, in a whatever, and you suddenly understand the process that went behind that. Because I'm assuming you've had lots of people who are like, well, how hard was it to build something to slide your phone into? And you're like, well, go
Mhm.
ahead. If you think it's that easy, feel free to give it a shot. Because I
Yeah.
say that because I'm a part of a company we're doing some molding and stuff like that too. That's why I asked
Yeah.
about the
Gotcha.
local guy, because he's in Phoenix and we use him, and he's like, I can do this, this, and this, and this. But if you need
Yep.
it differently, it's got to be done somewhere else. And so talk about, because you said 8 years, which is congratulations. 8 years in
Thank
any
you.
business is a real thing, right? You've lived
Yeah.
the ups and the downs. Talk about a little bit more about just those moments. Like, was there a moment where you went, all right, our wives are going to kill us. There's no way we've got to go get real jobs again, because this just isn't going to work.
Yeah, well, that's what, to be, again, completely transparent, I was double dipping. You know what I mean? I mean, I worked full time at Intel, and then you
Yeah.
come home and you work full time at Desert Fox Golf, right? It was,
Yeah.
it was exhausting. It was probably the longest 3 years of my life. And so, again, we started the company in March of 2018. We didn't sell our first product until September of that year, right? So it
Right.
takes that long just to be able to get to something that you can actually sell. And we didn't really start selling at all until 2019, right? So 2019, we had 2 colors, right? 2 phone caddies, 2 colors, and that was it. That was the company. The company wasn't a company. It was selling 2 products, right? And it's really only one product with 2 colors. And, that entire year, Eric is doing sales, he's doing engineering, he's doing all that kind of stuff. I was very fortunate to have a business partner that could put more of his time and energy into it, because he had recently, left his job and decided to do this full time. I was still, like I said, part time in both locations, but honestly, it wasn't part time. It's full time you're doing 2 jobs, So all of 18, all of 19, all of 20, finally 21 comes along. Well, COVID happened, the COVID. That was a bizarre world, right? Because golf was a silver lining, right? I mean, out
Right.
here, we never really even shut down when it came to golf. People would go out and play golf because you could get outside. So at that time, the PGA also came in, the USGA and whatnot, and said, hey, electronic scorekeeping is good. You don't have to touch a pencil and a scorecard. So, COVID for a lot of people was catastrophic, terrible. But for our business, it was a catalyst, right? For golf, for the industry, it was a catalyst, right? So many people found the game, so that inflection point, just tripped me and said, hey, okay, what do I really want to do with my life? And that was the critical decision point. And I said, I'm walking away from Intel. I'm going to do this, full time. And now you have 2 full-time guys going at this, and I took over all of the sales operation, or excuse me, sales, business development, marketing, blah, blah, blah. He could focus on operations, product, and we just took off after that. So, it's just been, hundreds of percent, thousands of percent growth in the early days. It's fun when you grow from nothing, right? It's like, oh my God, we're up
Right.
1,000%. Well, you were at 0 yesterday.
Right.
So, I love percentages. And so, it takes off, and, and then from 21 on, this is all I've done. But that is probably one of those pivotal decision points, that we both were like, okay, are we going to keep doing this? What are we doing? You know what I mean? And then, of course, every day as an entrepreneur, one day you're, oh my God, we're killing it. Next day, something competitive comes out and you're like, oh my God, we're going to die. You know what I mean? And it's just, it's a roller coaster.
You talk about the
Yeah.
percentages, like we're the fastest growing cell phone holder on golf carts that in the color orange in the
That's
last
right.
3 months.
That's right. That's right. You nailed it. You nailed it.
Yep. Well, you mentioned the phone caddy, and yes, there are more than 2 options now, and we'll talk about some of the other things that you guys are coming out with. But I noticed on the site, like, you're doing some marketing with different teams and things like that. So it's not just like the plain colors and stuff, but as a team, a fan of Penn State, I didn't look hard enough to see if Penn State's in there, but as a fan of your favorite team, you can customize and add. There it is, right there. I figured if there was one, it might be close. But you guys are customizing it and changing it to where people can, kind of like with clothes, bags, shoes, everything else, they can kind of express personalities through stuff like the phone caddy, correct?
Yeah, that's right. And everything that we've ever built by design has had customization as one of its core requirements in the product development process. We do literally 300 to 500 events and promotional things every single year. It's a huge part of our business. So when you think of us, a lot of times you think of direct to consumer, but we do a ton of business to business. We're in the promotional product space, the world of ASI and Sage, right? And so if you know that space, it's, hey, I started the business. Now I need to market and grow my brand. I need to put my logo on something so I can help, get the word out of who I am. Well, in the golf industry, we provide, those types of products. So we provide it for tee gifts. We provide it for raffle prizes. We provide it for, literally anything you could think of, just promotional reasons. You want to promote a podcast? I put your logo on our products. You give them out to your friends, give them out to people that are working on the thing. We've been doing that for years. And you also mentioned the NCAA licensing. Did that over a year ago. We're into year 2 now with NCAA licensing. We've had over, I think, 42 to 45 schools, different licensing properties out there. I just showed you the Penn State one, right? So this is our Penn State speaker. It's called the DJ-10, so it's got the logo on there. And then this guy isn't even launched yet, but I'm going to show it to you anyways. This is our new magnetic phone holder that's customizable. So we have one on the website right now that has the orange fox head on it, but we just finished this design. We've pre-sold close to 4,000 of them, 2 events actually, right? So they're customizing it, putting their Country Club logo on it, using it for events, that type of a thing. Charity golf events, huge, business for us, right? Tons of charity golf tournaments want to put that on there. So the way we do that is we offer a volume discount, right? You buy 100, 200 of them, a full field, obviously about 150 is what you need. For all of the players, and we work that directly. So you contact us, we provide a free digital proof. And then, again, it's funny because like year 1, I mean, it was just one product. There it is. It's the phone caddy. Right now, we offer, I don't even know, probably about 15, 20 different products, everything from drawstring bags, can coolers, tumblers, put your logo on all of that. And, depending on the event budget, player budget you have for the event, you choose what fits. Right. And, that's been tremendous for us. The NCAA stuff has been an amazing undertaking as well. It's, again, you think it's easy and, we're just going to go make it happen. Getting the actual licensing isn't bad. Going through those, hoops, is not the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge is the management of it whenever you get it. All of the inventory. Now I have, 40 different SKUs times 3 different products times, it just boom, it just blows up. The fan out is unbelievable, and we're very fortunate because we print here in Arizona. We do all of our fulfillment from Arizona. Companies that don't have those types of, skill sets and you have to rely on others to do it. It's a lot. It's a lot to manage.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering, was the collegiate thing driven because you just wanted Penn State on all your stuff, or was it actually a business decision? Because those two can be really close to each other when it comes to making calls.
No, it's a great question. And what's really funny is Eric's a Michigan guy. So, you got Michigan, you got Michigan, Penn State, right, in the same office. It's hysterical. I wouldn't say that it was I want Penn State on the product. It was definitely driven as a business decision. We knew that, at some point in time, we needed to do some licensing things and some deals and see where that goes. Like I said, it's been one of those things that's, actually helped perpetuate the business. I mean, you buy a phone caddy, you really don't need another one for anywhere from, 4 years, maybe even 5 years, right? It holds up very, very
Right.
well. Eventually it's starting to look a little tattered and like, hey, I want to go buy another one. Well, we needed to have something that people would be, hey, I went to this school or that school. And, I live out here in the desert where there's a lot of retirees, and they
They're all from
love to
Ohio.
show off. Oh, yeah, Ohio State, of course, right? And they just love, that to just deck out their carts, right, in all the college gear. And so, it was a pretty easy decision to go into it. It's been a harder decision to, figure out what we want to go after next and how. And of course, the minute you do this, it's like, well, I went to the University of Dayton. When are you going to add my school? Well, it's number 1,252 on the list,
Right.
right? And it's hard, right? Because you want to do everything for everybody, but you obviously target the schools that are larger, where the larger alumni bases are, and those types of things, and try to round out the conferences, right? So I think we have almost everybody in the Big Ten now, working on a couple, big ones, and then of course the way the licensing works, some of it is all under one entity, some of it is individually done, right? So you have to go to every single university. So
Yeah.
that's been challenging, in and of itself as well. So yeah, I'd say more of a business decision, but of course I love having my own stuff on it.
Of course. Well, you mentioned the charity aspect of tournaments and then also for clubs that want to do it. For those that might be listening and say, hey, that's a great idea. We've got an event coming up, or for a club that says, hey, we've got a member guest, member, whatever. Like what's the turnaround time from when they reach out and say, hey, here's something we would like to do? When
Yeah.
could they expect to receive stuff?
So I'm going to answer the question two ways. If you have all of your information together and you have logos ready to go, from the minute we accept payment and the proof is ready to go, our standard lead time on all of our hard goods is only 3 weeks, and that includes 1 week shipping. Okay,
Wow.
so that's ground shipping anywhere in the U.S. Our textile products, where we have towels and bags and that type of stuff, it's a 5 week lead time. So that's from done, right? We have the proof and you're ready to go and you can get it done. We actually have done stuff in 2 days, believe it or not, right? So we can do rush production, rush shipping. You have an overnight shipping and a rush 1 day production. To crank out 100 of these things, it's not that time consuming, for us to get it done. What ends up happening is it all depends on the busy season of the year, right? So right now we're at that early season. So I'm sitting here telling you we can get it done. You contact me in June or, or even May here in another month, and I might have a different answer for you. But, almost anything is possible. It just obviously costs a little bit more money to bump yourself up in the queue. So that's our standard lead time, right? The average, discussions back and forth and, hey, I'm having an event. I get a lot of, hey, I'm having an event. Okay, when is it? What's your logo look like? All that kind of stuff. That can take anywhere from, 2 weeks to a month, of just going back and forth. A lot of times, right, there's committees involved in this. So we offer free digital proofs, right, which is huge. If you have a logo, I can turn around and give you a proof in less than 15 minutes, right? So once you have that proof, then you go into the committee. Usually there's a decision-making body that's saying, hey, I want the phone caddy, or I want this, or we're also looking at shoes. We're looking, you know what I mean? And then budgets are kind of bouncing around, right? So that's probably the longest pull item in the tent, is that decision-making process for the committee themselves, for the people making the purchasing decision. And we try to do everything we can with respect to speed, right? If they want to change it in a logo, my business partner created some tools for us that'll blow your mind. It's absolutely mind-blowing. I can take a logo and I can build an entire proof and generate it in literally minutes if it's a vector-based logo, right? You send me a PNG or, a JPEG that I have to vectorize, I now have some tools at my disposal that I can still do it in less than 15 minutes. So it's just astonishing,
Wow.
some of the tools that you build. I remember doing the early proofs. I would have been sitting there telling you, well, you're going to send me your logo. I'm going to get you a proof in 2 to 3 days. You know what I mean? And it's just amazing how you optimize your business and your processes and those types of things. But to get in touch with us, super easy. you can just go to our website at desertfoxgolf.com. We have a couple of places on there for a form. You just fill out the information that you do know. That form comes to us and we'll reach back out to you. If you have a logo that you already upload, we'll actually reach back out to you with that free proof. So boom, you have your proof, you know what the pricing is, we send you our volume price list, and you're kind of off to the races in the decision-making process. So again, very, very easy to get in touch with us. And then we handle everything still very high touch, personal type of a discussion, email back and forth, pick up the phone and call us, we can walk you through the process. And then finally we place a draft order and, make payment, and then we go into production.
I'm still kind of stuck on 15 minutes of vectorization, because you used to probably have to send some guy in Poland that you were just like subcontracting in order to get it done fast, right?
That's how you start out, by outsourcing it. Then you learn how to do it yourself.
Right.
Then you find the tools to do it. And then you build your own tools to do it. And like I said, if you sent me a PNG, maybe you should try it after we're done. Send me your PNG logo and you can hit from send. You can see how fast I get you a logo back.
Yeah, the vectorization's a real thing. Like that used to be a 2-day process. I've done different companies and we used guys overseas because they were, $50 instead of whatever it was here local.
100%. Yep.
Yeah. Of course, that was probably 10, 15 years ago now. So I'm assuming the tools have gotten better.
Just a bit.
Just a little bit.
Well, talk about, you held up a speaker there. Talk about some of the other things that you guys are doing besides the phone caddy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, so I'll just walk through that's the original one right there, right? And so it's fully adjustable, right? There's 2 thumb screws on the back of it. This one right there opens the wings. That way it expands and contracts. From that, we go to the magnetic, right? So this is the new magnetic phone holder. I mean, super simple, right? So this is a magnet, boom, attaches to the golf cart. And then this is MagSafe, right? So hold your phone, you can twist it sideways. It does a lot of things. There's a lot of nice things about the magnet. Of course, you got to trust the magnet. It's by design. It has to come off the cart and you have to be able to get your phone off of it. So, that's one of the reasons we didn't do magnets out of the gate. But everything's changed with phones. I mean, we have phone protection now. You don't buy your phone, it's rented. It's, things have just changed, right? So we've got those 2 core products. We've got the speaker. What's wild about the speaker, again, what you'll see about this is this surface, right? It's designed for customization. I can put a very detailed logo on that versus a lot of speakers you have to print on the grill and you can't really see it. So that's magnetic. It's sloped so that, it fits onto the golf cart. We did a couple of really cool things with this. This has a USB cord integrated in it because every single time I'm out there, my speaker inevitably dies. So I don't have the cord in my bag and so on and so forth. So it's changed the way I personally use this. Because I go out, I use the battery for 2 rounds, and then whenever it dies, I plug it into the golf cart, recharges, and, it can play while I'm using it, and then it's charging at the same time. I wrap it up, throw it in my bag, use it for battery, and so on and so forth. Another cool thing, I'll show you my age. So this right here is how you turn it on. It's a knob, right? So you turn it on, and you'll hear it say battery. Yeah, so this thing's going to need charged. So this is your volume control as well. So it's up, down, and then off, right? A lot of people, it's so funny. You give this to my kid. He's like 18, 19 years old. He's like, where's the button? You know what I mean? How do I do it, right? It's called a knob. It's
swiping his finger.
Yeah, exactly. Swiping on it and everything. It's called a knob.
Can you crank it to 11 though? That's the question.
Oh, of course you can. Of course you can. Of course you can. So yeah, so those are our speakers. We do some really cool little can cooler designs, like for golf courses and stuff like that.
Wow.
So you put the name of the design on there. It fits a 12-ounce can. We have some tumblers, golf towels. So yeah, we have a lot of different things. For the cigar, aficionados out there, it's pretty cool. So this comes, in a box with a cigar holder, and I'll just show you how that looks. So it actually slides into the bottom of the phone caddy, holds your cigar. And then what we did is we took this same piece and we created a magnetic version of it. So we're getting ready to launch that. That'll come up on the site here pretty soon. And then we also have a cigar cutter divot repair tool. And as I mentioned, we do some, bags, towels, those types of things. So lots of good stuff up there.
You mentioned earlier, though, at some point there becomes stock management and everything else, because for every SKU there becomes every color. For every color there becomes minimum orders. For every minimum order there becomes customization. And all of a sudden you're like, well, we have 8 products times 8,000 options. So how do you manage that? Because that's a cash flow issue. It's a warehousing issue. It's an inventory issue. You're guessing probably sometime in January, February, March, how many we plan to sell over the summer months. And then if you
Yeah.
miss that mark, that's where you go to your sale button on your website because you got all the leftover
All the
stuff.
extra
But
inventory.
yeah, exactly. So what does that look like from a business perspective? Because again, it sounds easy. You found someone, you did it, and here we are 8 years later and you got the successful thing, but
Right.
it's still a whole game to play.
Our superpower is
Yeah.
just-in-time customization. As I mentioned, what we
Mhm.
do is we buy blanks, we buy piece parts, and
Okay.
we do everything quote unquote just in time, right? So everything that we have, we can turn into any SKU. And so we
Wow.
don't have to hold all of that inventory. The only one that we have to backlog and hold a small amount of inventory for is for
Mhm.
our direct to consumer business, for NCAA, those types of things. So what you'll do is you'll hold 10 Penn State phone caddies, 10 speakers, right? And every
Yeah.
time you get down to a depletion, 10 is not the right number. It's probably 20
Right.
or 30, right? But as you get down, you have, okay, hey, I got to run some Penn State. Hey, I got to run some, South Carolina. Hey, I got to run some Alabama. You know what I mean? And so, that just gets put into the queue in between our larger production orders that are for
Mhm.
events and those types of things. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty astonishing. But we have all of the customization. They call it decoration in the promotional space. All of that stuff is in-house. We do all of our own warehousing. We do all of our own fulfillment and shipping. So from that perspective, that is really our superpower that allows us to have control over all aspects of the business in the production side of the equation. And to really blow your mind, we actually do logistics and fulfillment for a couple of other golf brands. So
Nah,
because we
that's
have all of the
smart.
warehousing and those
Right.
types of things, we have the ability to do that. So we have some really tight collaborations. We're not going big with it. We're not making it our core business. You know what
Sure.
I mean? But somebody that we know well, if they're like, hey, we need some help or some support, we went through it, right? Start out every day. I'm in my office and I print out my slips and I put it on my 5 packages and I run down to the post office and I ship my product, right? At some point you go, oh my God, now I'm moving to the garage, right? Now I'm taking and I'm loading up the back of the truck, and I'm hauling this crap down there every day. It's like, man, I really wish UPS or somebody would come to my house and pick this up, right?
Right.
There's that little bump growth stage that we fit that niche, or that niche, I should say. And, we bridge that gap until you're ready to go to a full blown 3PL, right? And that's a third party logistics carrier, right?
Right.
And, that's some stuff that we've done for one of our other, local, well, not even local, he's out of Florida, but, one of our other brands out there, we work with them and, do some logistics and some fulfillment for them.
Yeah, but when you talk about like from a business perspective, you figured out the just in time concept, which really sounds like you're more like a print shop than anything, right? Like the
Mhm.
logistics on those things, and then being able to manage that. And suddenly you're like, all right, well, what if we bring on 3 businesses that we have relationships with to do this? Suddenly our overhead's completely taken care of. Like the
Correct.
warehouse that you're already in the middle of, and the people
Hmm.
that you hire to manage and do all of your shipping now just
Yep.
becomes gravy. And maybe at some point you're like, we make a whole lot more money off of managing everybody else's stuff, and we'll just keep running our little thing on the side and it'll grow and do all the stuff. But I find that fascinating to pivot like that
You're
to,
Yeah, your
right?
wheels are turning in the right direction inside your head. I will tell you that they don't turn the right direction that you maybe think that it would, because we had the same thoughts.
Right.
You're absolutely right. It's a percentage of your overhead that goes away, but then you
Right.
create new
Yeah.
overhead because of it. But you are spot on with the way that the wheels are turning inside your head. It is a business decision, and when do you say yes? When do you say no? When's it a good fit? When's it's not? A great example is apparel, right? We don't really do apparel, right?
Right.
And there's a big reason for that, right? Sizes and returns
Right.
are wow, right? And if anybody's been doing it in the apparel business, I have a lot of friends that do it. I listen to them and I listen to their success stories and their horror stories.
Right.
And I don't know if I would ever go that route. You can come on my site and buy some t-shirts, you know what I mean? But I'm
Right.
not, I just don't have it in me, you know what I mean? To
Right.
manage that type of everything from the supply chain to the, refresh of the designs plus the inventorying and management. So, we do keep our business, in a certain lane, if you will, right? And we don't really deviate from that. So there's like with all things, there's always guardrails and you have to make a conscious decision of when you want to push those out or if you want to stay inside those lanes.
Scott, what has been the most rewarding part to you over this journey over the last 8 years?
That's a fabulous question. And one that I haven't thought of. So this is going to be a bit of a shoot from the hip. Um, I think, I think for me personally, it's the ability to have enough success on your own, that I'm not a Intel employee anymore, for example. You know what I mean? I mean, I had an amazing job. It was an amazing company. It's starting to maybe become one again. We'll see. But it's a whole different world. You know what I mean? I think that's probably the right answer for now. I raised two kids, while building this company. You know what I mean? For them to see what we did, how we did it, they each of them have worked for me. My son was just in, doing printing. He's he's a college guy now, right? My business partner had two daughters, right? Both of them worked for us. You know what I mean? At various stages of the game. His daughter is actually, a finance major down at the University of Arizona, and she's working for us part-time. You know what I mean? So to be able to do those things, just to be able to do that for your kids and to be able to, give them a view of there's another way to do something in this world than you go do a 9 to 5 job, I think has been very rewarding for me. And then of course doing it in a industry that I've always had a personal passion for, right? The people that I've met, the opportunities I've had in terms of, playing golf courses or meeting people or having discussions. I mean, we've sold to celebrities. We've been parts of, tournaments in the LPGA, the Champions Tour, the PGA. It's wild, to be a part of that. So I think that's it. It's like at the core, I'm my own boss, so to speak. I don't work the 9 to 5 anymore. From that, you get the expansion of look at how I've impacted my, my kids, my family, my business partner's family, my friends. And then the layer around that is the industry, and the golf industry is awesome. I mean, it is a small world. I mean, we just, kind of chatted about it, right? I mean, you get to meet a lot of people, you get to do a lot of things. The other small brands, they're great people, they're fun to work with and share the stories and all that kind of stuff. And then, I mean, the golf world's weird, right? It's literally like this bottom segment of brands and stuff. And then there's this massive spike and then you're a Titleist. There's not a lot of the in between. There's a couple, companies that live in the in between middle ground. But you're either on this side or this side. And then, man, this is a long answer to a very, what seems like simple question. The last piece of it is the evolution of social media. Like what's wild is we started this in 2018. Yes, we had, Facebook and those types of platforms, but Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, all these other things have happened during that time frame when golf creators were coming in and the YouTube transition and I don't want to say being a part of it because we're not, the sexiest brand out there and all over the place on social media and all that, but to be able to be a part of that and witness that. And, again, the people that I've met, it's been wild. I mean, you get online, you follow some people, then you run into them at the PGA, show, we go down there to Orlando every year and you're like, hey, I know you. You're like, I don't know you at all. You don't know me. You know what I mean? But here we are, we're like sharing information about the business or what they've done and those types of things. It's wild. It's bizarre. It's stuff that I would have never thought I would have done in my life. And I wouldn't have if I wouldn't have done this, right? I would have, retired from Intel and I don't know, I'd be working as a freaking ranger somewhere right now.
You'd have your golf cart decked out with a lot of Penn State stuff.
That's right. Yeah. Buying it from somebody else's company.
From somebody else, of course. Of course.
For any business to survive 8 years, you've made mistakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for an entrepreneur out there who's maybe in year 2 and they feel like they just made the wrong turn and it's devastating because it feels devastating in the moment, and it might be close to.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you look back and go, we should have made this pivot sooner, or man, we decided to chase that rabbit and we chased it for 2 months too long and we survived it obviously, but still we should have cut the nose off a lot earlier.
Another great question. Pivoting, you use the right word. I think the thing that's really critical is that you have to not only be willing to pivot, but then actually do it. Right. So there's the willingness and then there's the doing. Right. And I think a lot of us think that we're willing to pivot from something, but actually doing it is way harder. I will tell you, as a great example, the magnetic, revolution that's hitting us right now is one of our current biggest challenges for the company. A lot of people want the magnetic phone holder, right? And we've resisted it. And I'll use another example. I showed you this, right? It's a black phone caddy. We know that more people are going to leave something that's black on a phone, or excuse me, on a golf cart, than something that's bright orange, right? There's a reason the first one was bright orange. And so you, as a company, as somebody that you're trying to help people, you're like, I don't offer it in black because I don't want you to leave it behind.
Right.
It outsells every other color three times. You know what I mean? Yep. And so at some point you have to say, look, even though I'm trying to do quote unquote the right thing that I think is right and aligned with either my values or what I'm doing as a company or whatever, there's also listening to the market. You know what I mean? And if they're shouting at you saying, I want a black phone caddy, you go build a black phone caddy. Same thing happened with the magnetics, right? So with magnetics, we know that you can knock the thing off the golf cart. It's magnet. It has to. It's by design. You can knock your phone off the golf cart, right? But what's interesting about it is all magnetics aren't built equally. You know what I mean? And there's ways to build stronger magnets and source different things. And, so that's where we put our attention and effort. And I would say that, that would be a good example of, I would have loved to have done that a year earlier. You know what I mean? I would have loved to have been selling that for a year versus only 6 months at this point in time. And then the customized version, I would have loved to have done that sooner. You know what I mean? So I think if I look back, it would always be, I wish I would have done this sooner. I wish I would have done this sooner. I wish I would have done this sooner. That's the thing that I think happens for me. And it's not that I'm not willing to do it. It's actually doing it. And there's always a million reasons why. Right. Well, I'm really busy doing this, or this is currently successful, or well, I'll take a look at it next year. I mean, our speaker, we had the idea to do this speaker, I don't even know, probably 2 years, 3 years before we actually brought it to market. I've got stuff in the hopper right now that I haven't brought to market, right? That we haven't, that we've made excuses to do. But I think, knowing your numbers, the financial side of this, again, I'm very fortunate to have, basically a living computer that is my business partner that just is he's a numbers guy. You know what I mean? He can do stuff in his head, and, it's something that's invaluable, right? So it's having that ability to actually go do what you want to go do, realize that you could probably do it faster than what you think, and the ones that I've seen my friends get nailed on, and I guess us to a little bit of a degree, is not letting go of something that's not going well. It's your baby, right? That one is the one that I see most people get crushed on. We are lucky. I'm just going to say lucky. I mean, we had a product that did really, really well and didn't have to have that hard decision. You know what I mean? There's a couple of other products we've launched that haven't done as well, but we haven't really had one yet that you launch it and you love it to death and you won't let it go. You know what I mean? And there's a couple people that we've looked at and we're like, dude, you gotta let it go. You know what I mean? And that's the financials, right? If you really understand your financials and you look at the numbers and you allow that to be your data-driven, mindset, then I think you're in good shape. And that's, again, a superpower of ours is I have an analytical guy that has, I don't want to say he has no emotion. He is a human. But he's what balances me. You know what I mean? I would have had us do things probably to our dismay. Like, I'm a passionate, I'm much more, from the heart type of a thing, you know what I mean? Versus that mentality of, look at the numbers and this is a really bad thing to go do. I give my business partner all the credit in the world to challenge me in those areas. And, that yin and yang has, helped us a lot, to just say, dude, here's the numbers. You tell me how these numbers are going to flip around and we'll go do it. And I'm like, yeah, can't tell you how to do that. Let's shut that down. You know what I mean? So that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah. Well, having a good business partner makes it all worth it, and that's why I'm thankful for Jonathan, kind of like you are for Eric. So
vice versa, equal.
Yep. Well, Scott, we can keep asking you a ton of questions about what you guys are doing, and we want to respect your time. So we'll start wrapping up with some of the questions that we typically ask our guest. The first one is about your golf game, and we want to know the story of your most memorable golf shot.
You guys, it's like you think I would just have these answers off the top of my head, right? So I have two hole-in-ones, right? I have two aces, and clearly, that's one of them sitting back there. You can see my cat, that Nittany lion up there. So my cat's name was Nittany. Wild. I had a buddy of mine from, yeah, he's laughing at me at Penn State, dude. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I named my cat Nittany. And so, I had a friend of mine who I hadn't seen in years from Florida came out and said, "Hey, you want to go play a round of golf?" Sure. We were, college buddies, right? Went out and got that hole in one when I was out with him, right? The problem with that,
Great game.
the problem with that was first off, it was my first hole in one, but I didn't see it go in. You know what I mean? So it's the classic, it's down the hill and it's like, dude, and he's yelling, "It's in the hole," right? And you drive up and it's not there. And you're like looking around and you're like, it didn't go in. It went over the green, and you look in the hole and it's in there. That was pretty memorable, but the second one is even more memorable. And that was out at Seville Country Club because I got to see it go in. And then it's crazy, but it's almost a story that's unbelievable. They were doing a giveaway promotion as part of the country club of a golf trip. So I ended up winning a trip to Pinehurst for two. And I took my now business partner, Eric, on that trip to Pinehurst. And it was at a bar in Pinehurst where he and I looked at each other and said, let's do this for real and let's start the company.
That's
So I don't think
awesome.
you can have a more memorable, golf shot that then ties to what led to what I'm doing today than that. And it's just a crazy story. I was with three of my, really best friends. They remember it every day. They had to sign off. I'm like, why am I signing off on this? What did I win? I won a wedge. You know what I mean? No, you want a trip to freaking, and they had a whole list, there's like, whatever, 20 courses on there. And I'm like, Pinehurst? And I called them and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're registered. Congratulations. You won a trip to Pinehurst." I'm like, "You're full of crap." They're like, "Come on." And sure enough, yeah, it was legit. So it was quite the experience.
I would say that's pretty memorable.
Yeah, thanks.
That's, yeah. A hole in one led to the Desert Fox.
Yep.
It's crazy, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, that's so great. Well, another thing we like to do is just a little back and forth called the Quick Nine. The first question: what is the favorite course that you've ever played?
I'm going to say facility. I'm a huge fan of Bandon Dunes. And then if I have to pick a course there, I go back and forth between Pacific and Trails. So two very different golf courses. They're very different than Arizona, but I'm going to go with a facility. I'm a huge Bandon fan.
Yeah,
I love it. That's those are on our bucket list. So we got to ask, what course or destination is at the top of your bucket list?
I'd say right now, I'm very interested in getting out to out into like Whistling Straits. I want to get out there and play those courses. I haven't been up in that part of the country, so I think that's probably on my next bucket list things to do.
sounds like a business trip where you need to do like some
Yeah,
research and things to figure out if you could work with them.
yeah,
Um,
for sure.
what is your favorite course that no one knows about?
I'm gonna go with, oh wow, favorite course that no one knows about. I'll give you the Arizona one. It's Quintero. A lot of people don't know about it out here. It's way out, like in the middle of nowhere. But it's probably the best course here in the valley. Um, Another one, that I would probably say that I absolutely love is, and I don't get I've only played it once, right? And I just got back from there. It was out in Punta Cana. And there's just, it's just an epic thing because you're on the you're on the ocean and all that kind
Yeah,
of stuff. But, I'm going to go with Quintero, here. Look, I'll keep it local.
that works.
Who is in your dream foursome?
That's a great one. For me, I mean, I grew up in the, in the 80s, type of a thing, right? So, I mean, I wish it wasn't, the way that it is, but I'm going to still throw Tiger in there. I mean, he was and is and always will be on the golf side, just pure golf. I mean, just wish the rest of it wasn't there. So I'm going to I'll throw Tiger in there, for sure. I mean, I'd definitely love to see how that goes. I mean, I would probably, I'd probably throw, I don't know, I guess I'm just a golf fan because I'd love to play around with young Jack, at the same time, and just watch those two go at it. You know what I mean? Like at their primes, if you took Tiger in his prime and Jack in his prime and play around the golf with those two guys would be absolutely amazing. And then, after that, I don't know. I guess I just need a threesome and then whoever wants to join me.
You'd have lots of offers.
Yeah.
I bet. Yeah.
People would be willing to join the young Jack, young Tiger.
Yeah, but
Mainly to watch you play golf, though. Let's be honest.
oh, of course.
That's
Yeah,
probably
of
what it
course.
is. All right. What has been your favorite snack that you've had at a turn?
So I'm gonna pitch the Gleazy. I don't know if you've heard of it, but
Oh yeah.
it's you know,
Oh
you know
yeah.
what I mean. But that's the new all beef hot dog thing and all that jazz. I mean, those guys are killing it. I think they're gonna absolutely dominate the world. I'm a hot dog guy at the turn, always have been. I grew up, like I told you guys, Western Pennsylvania. I actually used to work at a golf course called Butler's Golf Course. I still think it's one of the best hot dogs ever made. I don't know where the hell we got them from. I used to work in the kitchen too. You know what I mean? I don't know where they came from, but I mean, just nice, nice big juicy hot dog type of thing. And you can't beat a hot dog at the turn. And like I said, the Gleazy's, they're killing it. I think it's it's high quality product and all that jazz. Can't beat it.
Love it. Yeah, I've had one, and it is really, really good.
Yep.
All right, favorite golf course logo.
Wow. Now, see, that sucks because we do so many golf courses. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't even answer that question. I don't have a favorite golf course. I plead the fifth. It's like unanswerable. I mean, I don't even have an answer for that question because it's so hard because I see it on my products all the time. And I'm like, I love that logo on this product. I hate that one. I love this one. I hate that one. So, yeah, I don't have an answer for you.
That makes me wonder, do you just have like stacks of golf caddy, like just sitting there on your golf cart every time? Cause you're like,
There-
which one do I want to
not-
grab today?
Not for me, but if you come into our shop, we have them hanging on strings, right? And so
Oh,
we'll see one that
really?
we love, and we just hang them on strings, right? And they're just like they're
Yeah.
like all over the place. Or we print something, we'll do proofs, and we use tape, right? And so
Yep.
they're just on this wall, right? And there's logos everywhere. And you know what really is really hard is you end up needing to do something with marketing, and you're like, hey, remember that logo? And you're like, no, I like. It's just like my brain just
Right.
seizes up. I'm like, I've done thousands of logos. I have no clue, what the heck to go do. So I can't tell you I have a favorite, man. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Just a wall of
Yeah.
fame. Yep.
Yep.
All right. What has been your favorite pro shop purchase?
Ooh, pro shop purchase. You see how much stuff I buy from a pro shop. I would probably have to say head cover. So I currently have one from Black Desert. It's just a sick looking putter cover. I'm a huge fan of Dormy, right? Dormy Workshop. That's what I have on my woods, right? Dormy Workshop covers. But I've gotten to the point now when I travel. I mean, I have a hat from everywhere. Again, logos, right? But I'm starting to kind of get into the putter head cover and that type of thing. And it's just Black Desert it looks like like a volcanic, like rock, which is of course is carved out of the volcanoes up there, the lava rock. It's pretty sick, and I get a lot of compliments on it. It's orange and black, so it kind of ties into the whole Desert Fox Golf Orange.
Yeah.
But that's right now up there. That's my current favorite.
That's awesome.
I love it. All right, what is one thing golfers should do?
I think I got figures. You finally answered something or asked me something I actually tell everybody. Golfers should always stop in the middle of their round multiple times, turn around, and look backwards down the fairway to the tee. We always play the golf course tee to green, right? And we are always we're very rarely looking at everything else that's going on around us, right? And when I started to do that, my appreciation and overall joy and peace that I found in the middle of a round of golf, like it went up like 10x. And I don't remember when I did it, but I do it now every single time at Bandon Dunes on Old Mac. Number 3, you hit and you go past the ghost tree and you're walking up this hill. And when you crest that hill, it's just this like mecca of golf. There's just pins everywhere. You can see everything. And I stop and you turn around and you do a 360. I do a pano every single time with the video. And I just started doing that more and more and more. And it's wild because you look backwards and you're like, oh my God, look what was behind the tee, or look at that view, or, all this kind of stuff. There's just so much to a golf course that you don't actually take in or appreciate what you're doing in the moment until you can just kind of pause and do that. Take yourself out of the game. It's not about the game. It's not about what's going on, and just enjoy and appreciate where you are in this world. I mean, golf courses are by far one of the most beautiful, places in the world you're ever going to be at. You know what I mean? So in the 4 hours you're out there, take a pause, turn around and enjoy what, the scenery and everything that you're experiencing, I've given that advice to a couple people. They've said thanks. So who knows? Maybe some others will appreciate that as well.
That'll preach.
Great answer.
All right. Last question. Finish this sentence. The best part of golf is.
I'd say the ability to remove everything else that's going on in your life. That's my escape. It's wild. I started wearing this Whoop, right? So the whole Whoop band thing, it knows when I'm out playing golf because, like, believe it or not, like, my stress level goes way down, my attention to detail, like, it's my release, right? When I'm on a golf course, that's the best thing for me. I'm in the moment. I mean, it's about golf. It's about hitting that next shot. It's about, doing whatever it is that you're doing. If it's competitive, if it's friends, different emotions, different vibes, different whatever, but it's my release. The best part of golf for me is it's a release from the quote unquote real world. Always has been, and really genuinely hope it always will be.
Great stuff. Scott, this has been so much fun, man. I appreciate you and what you're doing with Desert Fox Golf. We'll have links in the show notes to all your stuff, but again, desertfoxgolf.com is where you can go find out all the great things you guys are doing. And I highly encourage anybody that's got an event, a group, any course out there to go check it out. And it sounds like there's fairly reasonable turnaround and easy folks to work with. So thank you again for joining us today.
Hey, really appreciate that, guys. Thanks for the time.
Absolutely. Well, for Scott and Jonathan, this is Robbie, and you guys have been listening to another episode of the Whole Story Podcast.